Carp Super Blend from Spotted Fin is a great all-round commercial mix. It's ideal for all situations you may encounter, from feeder fishing to putting down the edge to toss potting when you're pole fishing with little nuggets to attract fish into your peg. The mix is quite rich in fish meal and is primarily suited to carp venues, but can also be mixed 50-50 with a lot of the other ground baits you'll find in the range. It's a doddle to mix. It will slop up. You can also dampen it down, or you can feed it quite dry. So what I'll do, I'll take you through a few stages of how to mix it. It's got a nice rip top bag and a resealable pouch. So once you get to your peg, if you decide you only want half a bag of ground bait, pop your dry mix in your bucket. You can seal the top, fold it up, and it can go in your bait bag, and none of it's going to spill out in the bottom, and you're not going to have mould in your bait bag a month later where you've forgotten about it being in there. As you can see, it's quite a nice fine mix. It's got a lot of colour to it, and it blends really well. What you want to do, pop your ground bait in your bucket, and then the best way is to slowly add water a little at a time. And then you want to mix that vigorously. Get your hand right down in the bottom of the bucket, turn the ground bait over, and the more you use this, the more you'll get a feel for the dampness and how much more you want to add. And so now you can see the ground bait almost looks a little more claggy, and it's beginning to ball up itself. At that point, you don't want to add any more water because you could be overdoing it. So the best thing is to mix that right through, and then set it aside for 20 minutes or so. Maybe go back to your tackle, carry on setting up, and then let that absorb all the water and pop back to it. Okay, so we've left that ground bait for 20 minutes or so while we've been setting up a bit of our tackle, and as you can see, it's absorbed all the water, gone slightly dry, but it's just perfect to the touch, and it still runs through your hands. That's a really good guide when you're mixing ground bait, is if you can ball it and then rub it through your hands and it all separates like that into those nice fine particles, you know you're just about there. To get the best out of this ground bait, you need to pop it through a riddle. So I'm on my ground bait riddle there, all the ground bait's on it. First of all, shake that through. And what will happen, all the looser bits will go through the riddle easily, and you'll be left with some that have just taken up a little bit more water. We don't want to waste that or chuck it away. You want to slowly rub that through your riddle, get it all through there. You end up with a lovely, lovely fine textured mix, just as damp as you want it. You can move it around in your bowl. It's not claggy, it's not oversaturated, it's not too dry. You can give it a one-hand squeeze, and you can still rub that out through your hands. So you've got your dampened down ground bait, and say you decide you want to start feeding a sloppy ground bait. All you need to do is add a little bit more water, rub it in like we did on the first few steps of preparation, and then as you'll see, it'll begin to go a little bit more claggy. Once you've got to there, then add a little bit more. Now you can see it's becoming, it's beginning to take on a sloppy consistency, but it's still workable and manageable, and the ground bait isn't ruined. And doing this, when you pop that in, that'll give you a nice lingering cloud through the water, and you'll still be left with some ground bait on the bottom for him to home in on and start feeding on.